What's going on YouTube? What's up you guys? We got a video for y'all today. Yes sir. We got a video for y'all. Y'all go ahead and get y'all's mind right, light your blunt. You might hear some cars cause I'm outside. But go ahead and light up real quick y'all. Alright. So today we're going to be talking about the YSL case with Young Thug. It's a lot going on right now in this case, y'all. One of the jurors got 3 days in jail for recording the hearing. They were recording in court. So they got 3 days for that. You already know they were trying to, like a couple months back, they were trying to sneak pills to Young Thug. So that happened. Also, y'all remember the nurse that was trying to sneak drugs into the prison or the jail or whatever? So that happened. And apparently one of the lawyers was supposed to buy everybody lunch or something, so he had to pay a fine or something too. But if y'all haven't seen what's been going on in the case, y'all go follow it, because it's a lot of crazy stuff and it's just not looking good for Thug, man, because these people is just doing him crazy. Like his like lawyers is getting locked up for contempt and all this crazy type shit, y'all. But so yeah, we're gonna look at the most recent video on Law and Crime News on YouTube, and we're just gonna see what they talking about. Hold on 1 second, y'all. While the video is playing, I can't talk to y'all, so I'm gonna stop it and chime in whenever, you know, because I gotta turn the mic off to make sure the video doesn't interfere. But yeah, a lot going on in this case, y'all. So let's see what's happening now. All right, because the title, it says YSL lawyer arrested at Young Thug trial tells all they were like sharks circling me. Oh yeah, he also was in the back screaming. That happened too. So it's just a lot going on with this case, y'all. I don't know if y'all saw that, if y'all been watching, but we about to get into the most recent update and see what's going on. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Yelling from a defendant in a back room at the YSL RICO trial in Atlanta. Yelling from a defendant in a back room at the YSL RICO trial in Atlanta. It leads to others being cuffed and the courtroom evacuated. I'm Anjanette Levy, and thanks for joining us here on Law.
So there y'all hear him screaming, being escorted out of the courtroom. Now one of the lawyers had pills on him, and one of the lawyers had weed on him, and he smelled like weed in court. And the pills were just not in the right container or something. But I don't know if that's this guy, but he's being escorted. That's when he was escorted out. and he's gonna talk about it in this video, I'm assuming. So let's get back into this.
Crime. It was a wild week in the YSL RICO trial down there in Fulton County, Georgia, and we're still in jury selection. Testimony in this trial hasn't even begun. Jury selection with all of these defendants, with so many of them, is going to take some time in this case. Rodalius Ryan is that defendant down there in Fulton County, Georgia, and we're still in jury selection. Testimony in this trial hasn't even begun. Jury selection with all of these defendants, with so many of them, is going to take some time in this case. Rodalius Ryan is that defendant who was hauled out of the courtroom on Wednesday of this.
Sorry, y'all didn't see that. But as you can hear, they haven't even got to jury selection yet. Or they're still in jury selection. So there's a lot weighing into that right now because of all this craziness. 1 second, y'all. But to be all honest, y'all, like, you know, it could be a setup by the Fulton County, like, setting these lawyers up with stuff, or it could be the lawyers playing some sort of smart thing to get Thug out of it in the end. So we don't know what's going on for real. But let's get back into this. Sorry y'all didn't see that. But we're gonna rewind it a little so y'all can see a little bit of that.
Selection. Testimony in this trial hasn't even begun. Jury selection with all of these defendants, with so many of them, is going to take some time in this case. Rodalius Ryan is that defendant who was hauled out of the courtroom on Wednesday of this week. Sheriff's deputies said they found marijuana sewn into his boxer shorts. Now, after that chaos on Wednesday, the next day, attorney Anastasios Menetas, who represents Miles Farley in the YSL RICO case, he was arrested as he arrived for court, taken into custody. Deputies said Menetas brought prescription drugs to court that were not in the original container. He was charged with obstruction, disrupting court proceedings, and simple battery. That simple battery charge was later dismissed. And all of this actually led to Miles Farley's case being severed from the cases of all of those other defendants, including Young Thug, the rapper, whose legal name is Jeffrey Lamar Williams. Joining me to discuss the very latest in this case, including his client Miles Farley getting a bond, is Anastasios Menetas.
So this is the dude that had the pills, y'all. Yeah, I'm gonna just let it play.
Anastasios, thanks for joining us. It's been a crazy week, as I mentioned, in this trial, and we're only in jury selection. So bring us up to speed on the very latest. First off, with your client being given a bond.
Well, yes, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm thrilled. Miles just got a bond today from Judge Glanville. It's a pretty high amount, so we got to really work on it. But yeah, he was granted a bond. It was our fourth time requesting bond. So yeah, I guess fourth time's a charm.
And it's interesting and important because earlier this week, when things were happening in the courtroom, your client's case was actually severed from the others in this RICO case.
Yeah, that's right. We did our bond hearing on Monday. The judge seemed to be receptive, but he didn't want to make up his mind yet. He took it under advisement, which means he's not going to rule now, but sometime, within the next 10 days. We had the next day off. The day after that was the incident in court where there was a bit of a disruption and we just go home. So we didn't get the decision that day. And then the next day, I was just wrongfully accused by the deputies of something and actually arrested and confined the entire day. I just got out last night and then was summoned by the judge today to have some type of hearing about Mr. Farley, my client, in the alleged YSL RICO case. And then that's just moments ago. He was granted a bond with some special conditions. And so now we're severed off of the case. Mr. Farley is going to have his own trial separately.
iPhone or iPad is disabled. Front.
Alright, guys, so what I want to know is why would he put weed in his boxers in court? Like, was this a person already, like, locked up? Was this one of the co-defendants? And he just had weed? Like, I want to understand that part. But, as far as he got his client, Mr. Farley, I guess he's a co-defendant. In the case, he got bond. So I was thinking that, Young Thug got bond, but I guess he's got whoever the Farley guy is. But I want to know how he got weed in his boxers. Like, why was he doing that in court? Like, I don't understand that part. But I guess he's saying they falsely accused him or whatever, the pills or whatever. But I also want to know the person that was screaming in the back. Like, was that him or was that somebody else? But let's get back into this, y'all.
So we'll still have Judge separately, and so we'll have to wait until this first trial is done. So we'll still have Judge Glanville as a judge, and at some point he'll begin our trial when this RICO trial is done, the one that we were severed from. And then now also Miles will have a bond, and so if he can come up with the bond money, although it's a lot, it's $625,000, and with the way the bonding companies work in the Atlanta area, we're going to have to come up with something like 75,000 to satisfy what the bonding companies want and the surcharges. And then he also needs to wear an ankle monitor, have to give the address of where he lives, and only leave for work, school, and medical emergencies. And he also has a curfew, and he needs to stay away from certain areas that the state requested because they're going to plan to allege that those areas have some kind of gang activity going on. But they haven't proven anything yet.
That is a hefty bond. So I'll be interested to see if you are able to come up with that. You mentioned, the incident involving you at this courthouse.
Right.
This happened on.
Y'all hear that bond? $625,000. They got to come up with like $72,000. He said, but he's about to talk about what they accused him of.
Thursday, where you were arrested, taken into custody because you had some medications that were not in a prescription bottle. So tell us a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, what happened is I'm prescribed 3 medications, by my doctors, and I currently do take those medications. I need to have them on me, so they're in my work bag. I had 2 of the original containers, and the pills for the 3rd medication, some of them I had put in one of those containers because the pill bottle for that one is quite large, and I just thought it was hefty. And it's notable that here in Georgia, you don't even have to have them in the original container or one separate container at all. So if you're prescribed a medication by your doctor, like I am for everything that was in my bag, then you could have had them just wrapped up in one Ziploc bag or aluminum foil, and that would be lawful. So there was no unlawful activity whatsoever. So I feel like I was, somehow targeted by the state in this case. I don't know why, but it comes during this week of me having the bond hearing where I said certain things and then some chaos going on in court. So it was quite of a high temperature environment this entire week. And it just culminated in, I don't know what happened. I guess they sort of lost their cool and wanted to, do something to me and did this.
Now it's interesting that you're saying that you were prescribed these medications in Georgia. You can carry them without the bottle, which is interesting. So was this a misunderstanding?
I mean, you'd have to ask maybe the district attorney's office and the sheriff's department because I don't see how it could be a misunderstanding. The law is so clear. So had law enforcement had any basic knowledge of the law, they would have known right away that I wasn't violating.
Y'all hear that, y'all? So basically, he had his medication with him, and he had 2 that was in the same right container, and he had another one that was in the wrong container with the other one. They kind of was tripping on him. What y'all think? But apparently it's lawful to do that too in Georgia. So I don't know. I don't live in Georgia, so Yeah, I guess I don't know, y'all. What y'all think about that? That's crazy.
Thing. And further, they didn't even bother to wait for me to try to explain. They didn't call my doctors. They didn't allow me to have it tested or anything like that. And they just jumped to conclusions. And even worse, they charged me with a felony. So I'm getting a little taste of what I see day in and day out with my clients of just these trumped up charges, these overcharged cases. So they took it even one step further. Not only do they
Oh, hey!
wrongfully try to accuse me of overcharged cases. So they took it even one step further. Not only do they wrongfully try to accuse me of having pills not in their original container, which is not a crime in Georgia, they accused me of violating a controlled substance statute just because a couple of the pills of one bottle were a different dose than what the bottle says. And that was only because, as often happens, my doctor changed the dose a couple months ago, and then I left a couple of the old dosage in there, but they're the same medication and they're only off by 5 milligrams. And because the pills are a different.
Yeah, they are tripping, y'all. He would if he's prescribed that medicine and he can explain that and show that. I mean, doctors change medicine milligrams all the time. Like, they're kind of tripping on him. Like, and they're giving him a felony for a controlled substance. That's kind of tripping, y'all. But let me know what y'all think.
They tried to say that, well, that's a controlled substance and that's illegal for you to even have that at all. And because the pill bottle says 15 milligrams, that you had a 10 milligram one of the same type. And because it's a controlled substance, then you're now in violation of the Controlled Substance Act, which is a felony. Pretty serious, but I'm not afraid. I have a great attorney, Mr. Brian Tevis, and, I'm innocent, didn't do anything wrong. It's so obvious. So, I'm not worried, but it's just an example of what they do to people. So to your question, that would be something like in court that I'm sure it's like speculation. How am I to get in their head and ask myself, why did they do this? But I can look at the circumstances and say that I don't think they're ignorant of it. I think maybe they knew what they were doing, or I don't know. So I mean, I don't know how they organize their things. I don't know how they make charging decisions, but
You think they tried to play him? Let me know.
that's what happened. And so I guess I can leave it to your audience based on the circumstances to also speculate about why they did that, especially in the context of everything going on this week and the bond hearing and the things that I said in that bond hearing.
Now, there was a simple battery charge that you had faced, but that charge was later dismissed. You were accused of, I guess, doing something with a sheriff's deputy, brushing up against him. Tell us a little bit about that.
So yeah, that's just more of the same. So they've already done this unlawful detention on me. They're already accusing me of something I didn't do without any investigation. And I'm in handcuffs completely. I turn around, I let them put the handcuffs on me. I don't resist at all. And then a colleague of mine says, throw me your phone. And I did want him to throw him my phone, not because I have anything in there to hide, but that is my attorney phone that I have sensitive information about my clients, their medical information. They had already violated my medical rights and privacy. So who knows what they're going to do? There's confidential stuff in that phone they're not allowed to see, but that wasn't my main concern. My main concern was I knew that everybody would be talking about me going to jail. I knew that people such as yourself would talk about it and that my clients would see that. And they did. Some of my clients are very concerned. They're concerned for their own case, obviously, and their advocacy, but I have pretty close relationships with my clients, so they're also just worried for me in general. And had someone not had my phone while I was in jail, I couldn't continue my business and communicate with my clients because I don't have anywhere else where their numbers are stored. And now my phone is getting all these texts about, are you okay? Is my case still okay? Are we still good for court in a couple?
Bro, hold on, y'all. There is no need for them to have his phone for having his pills in court. Like, why do they need his phone? He was trying to give it to his friend, and I think I heard this already, where they say he threw the phone at a cop or something. That's a serious charge, y'all, for something he didn't do. Man, that's crazy. Like they really playing with him, like for real. Though, I'm gonna let him explain the rest of.
Weeks. And then why, especially why I'm afraid, is because the Fulton County Jail is really disorganized right now and really backlogged. If it wasn't for my attorney, Mr. Tevis, I don't know when I would have really gotten out. I recently had a client who was detained unlawfully. She's pregnant. She's 7 months pregnant. There's a suspended license case that she resolved in traffic court, but because the state didn't take the warrant out of the system, she's pulled over during a traffic stop, and they think she missed court, even though she didn't miss court because there was no court to miss. The case was resolved, and she spent about 4 days in there. Um, and that's when the family got me involved and said, what's going on? So I worried about a nightmare scenario like that. So for even a day to go by without me communicating with my clients would be a catastrophe. And so I tossed my phone to my colleague. And because I tossed it while my hands were tied behind my back, because I got the phone out of my pocket with one of my handcuffed hands, it touches on the bulletproof vest of one of the captains. And it was wild. I could tell they were just like sharks circling me. They just couldn't wait. It was crazy. The only way I can really describe it is like a bunch of children when a pinata bursts and the candy falls down. When they saw that phone just brush and touch on the deputy, the captain, they got so excited and they're like, battery on officer. And I started getting that strange energy that you get.
When giving the phone to his friend, it brushed an officer's vest, and they called it battery on an officer. They were just trying to get him, bro. The cops be like that. Some police be like that. They not all bad, but for real, like some cops are like that. Be very careful. Ask for an attorney. Like they would do you wrong, bro. So be very careful, cause they got him. Like they kind of playing with him for real. Like this is like the third time they're messing with him. Like they're getting him for pills that he could explain, and then saying it's not the right milligram. So they're getting him with a substance abuse or whatever, a narcotic type charge, which is a felony. And then they gonna say that he threw his phone when it just brushed the officer while giving it to his friend, and that's battery. Let's get back in.
From police that commit, violent misconduct, where they say things like "stop resisting" while they're just punching someone in the head who's tied up and not moving. So I was just getting that energy. And so that's what it was. And then they tried to charge me with that. And it was actually so ridiculous that they ended up dropping that. And instead they charged me with willful obstruction of an officer for that. But that's also wrong. So they're funny. They tried to fix it and they're wrong again. And because the detention was unlawful, you actually are allowed to resist, which I didn't. So even if I did do something they were saying I do, it would be a not guilty under the statute. So it's
Oh, my bad, y'all. Look, even if you can resist, never resist. Like, I'm gonna play that back, but he says if you don't resist, he says you can resist, or in Georgia or whatever, don't ever resist. That is bad. Don't do it.
candy falls down. When they saw that phone just brush and touch on the deputy, the captain, they got so excited and they're like, battery on officer. And I started getting that strange energy that you get from police that commit, violent misconduct, where they say things like "stop resisting" while they're just punching someone in the head who's tied up and not moving. So I was just getting that energy. And so that's what it was. And then they tried to charge me with that. And it was actually so ridiculous that they ended up dropping that. And instead they charged me with willful obstruction of an officer for that. But that's also wrong. So they're funny. They tried to fix it and they're wrong again. And because the detention was unlawful, you actually are allowed to resist, which I didn't. So even if I did do something that
Don't resist police, y'all.
I do, it would be a not guilty under the statute. So it's just on its face a not guilty across the board, even though I was charged with 4 counts, one of them being a felony.
So that was dropped. The battery charge was dropped, but you're still facing these other charges: possession of pills not in their original container. You claim that you can do this in Georgia, just have them in a bag if you want. Disrupting court proceedings, possession of dangerous drugs, having a Schedule II controlled substance, which you say you were prescribed, the Schedule II.
Right.
Anastasios Judge Ural Glanville is presiding over this trial, and there are things he's doing in this case that I don't think I've ever seen. Assigning people essays, whether they're prospective jurors, even attorneys, assigning them essays to write, 20, 30-page essays if they are held in contempt. Very unusual. I heard that you were ordered to buy everybody lunch. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I heard he was ordered to buy his colleagues lunch, but I didn't hear about the essays. So I guess the judges got people writing essays for being in contempt and stuff. But they for getting him for misconduct for that all that's crazy, bro. If they should have just let him call his doctor and all that. That was all unnecessary, bro. But let me know what y'all think.
I haven't been a part of that before either. I've been practicing law since 2015, and I've been practicing under supervision since 2012, and I've never seen that before. And the statute in Georgia for contempt gives the judge the options of $1,000 fine, a 20-day in jail sentence, or some mix of both. So you could be fined up to 1,000 and jailed for up to 20 days, or both. But in this case, he's assigning other consequences for contempt. And I don't believe that I even was contemptuous in that moment, but me and the judge just had a difference of interpretation over what him and I had said to each other.
But, ordering a defense attorney to buy people lunch, I've certainly never seen that. I'm not even sure I've seen an attorney held in contempt and given anything other than maybe a fine.
Right.
The judge is really going easy on him, y'all, as y'all can tell, because he could do a whole lot worse, and he really just gave the juror 3 days. Sorry about that. He gave the juror just 3 days, and he's just giving people essays and making the dude buy his colleagues lunch. It could be a whole lot worse. So he's really going kind of easy on him. Let me know what y'all think, though.
Right. I mean, I've seen jail, I've experienced jail for contempt, but you're right. I haven't seen that either. And what really happened was I was given the option of either writing an essay and buying them lunch or going to jail for 20 days. And what I had said was I don't have any problem buying my colleagues lunch, but that I wouldn't write an essay, and I would just do the 20 days. But then upon that, he gave me the option of, well, you can make a donation of $250 to the charity of your choice and buy your colleagues lunch. And what really happened, it kind of got blown out of proportion in social media and other outlets. I did make the donation to Miles College, the scholarship fund, and that's the HBCU college where my client, Mr. Miles Farley, got his business degree from. And so I did that. The judge said that satisfied him. And then I was supposed to buy a lunch on one day. And that day we only had a 45-minute break, so I couldn't. And then all my colleagues, they didn't want that. They told me, we're good. You don't got to buy me anything. And that was March 17th. It sort of kind of faded away. Then it got brought up recently. And when I understood that that's what he wanted me to do, although I don't feel like I was actually in contempt, I agreed to do that coming up on May 19th. So even though Mr. Farley is severed, I do plan to still, honor the judge's wishes.
Interesting. Rodalius Ryan is the one who had the alleged 2 bags of marijuana sewn into his boxers, not your client.
That's crazy though, y'all. The people said they didn't want lunch, and the judge was tripping on him about that. I don't know if y'all saw that clip, but the judge was tripping on him. But his colleagues said they didn't want lunch, but he said he still was gonna do it for him. So that's what's up. Let me know what y'all think.
But your client is facing a murder charge. He will now have a separate trial. Your thoughts on having the case severed, obviously, because he's not going to be tried with all of these other defendants, which will it feels like this trial is never going to end. We're still in jury selection.
That's right. I mean, for Mr. Miles Farley, we were facing, a long fight that we knew we're going to win, but we didn't know when. I mean, we don't even know what part of jury selection we're in because we haven't started the individual questioning. We don't know how many strikes we're going to be given. We don't know how many.
The picture y'all see, the picture y'all see right there to the right of him, that is the guy he's defending that just got the bond for $625,000.
Alternates the judge is going to give each side. We don't know how the prospective jurors are going to react to the individual questioning by all 14 of the defense teams, now 13 with Mr. Farley's severance. So, yeah, that was strange. And in a strange way for Mr. Miles Farley, it's a situation where people say things, like God works in mysterious ways. Because I wanted a severance from the beginning because that's the only way for Mr. Farley to have a fair trial if his trial ends up being fair. But I don't think being tried with so many people at once and so many attorneys at once and under the RICO statute in general, I don't think someone could get a fair trial like that. I mean, we're still going to win with two hands, tied behind our back by the RICO and the lack of severance. But I know there's so many things that are unfair about it. And so I'm actually glad that he got severed, and I'm glad that he got a bond because now he doesn't have to be unnecessarily confined and punished just to have a fair trial, which is going to have to be after whenever this trial ends.
Well, we will wait and see when this trial ends and when your client's Miles Farley's trial is scheduled and if he's able to post that bond. Attorney Anastasios Minetis, thank you so much for coming on Law and Crime to talk with us about all of this in this crazy week. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much as well. I appreciate you, and I'll be back.
So as y'all can see, he got Mr. Farley, the guy y'all saw in the picture, bond $625,000. It said in Georgia that's gonna be about 72. So that's kind of high. That's kind of freaking high. But he is lucky to get him bond in this case with Young Thug, because you know how the judge is being. But y'all think they set that man up? Because they got him for battery when he was just trying to pass his phone. They got him for pills he's prescribed. They could have just called his doctor. They got him for another charge saying it's a Schedule something drug, because it might be, but then they got him for a charge or something saying that he upped the dose or had the wrong dose, when doctors change dosages. Again, could have just called the doctor. And then for misconduct in court for all this, when he was just having his medication. But from now on, y'all have y'all's prescription with y'all, so none of this happens. And have it in the right bottle. Be smart, y'all, especially in court, because they be tripping. But what y'all think about all this? I'm gonna try to stay updated on this on YouTube. But let me know how y'all feel about all this. How this gonna affect Young Thug with all this happening with the juror. The juror got 3 days for contempt for recording the process. All this sorry, y'all. All this happened with this guy. The guy that was screaming, that had the weed on him and smelled like it. They got brought out of court, that was yelling in that clip. How is this gonna affect Thug after having the pill in court where they try to give it to Thug, and then where the nurse was had all their names on it, and she was trying to bring drugs into jail. How is this gonna affect Thug? What y'all think? Y'all put it in the comments. Like this, please subscribe. Let me know how y'all feel. And we smoking on gelato cake today. Let me know what y'all smoking on. Stay high, stay lifted. 420. Peace. I love all y'all. Give me a like. Give me a sub. Thank you. No, I'm playing. If you do like it, I appreciate it if you like it. It only takes a second, y'all. Or if you don't like it. However, please sub though. Thank y'all. Anyway, I love y'all. Thank y'all. Peace. How I stop this thing? Oh yeah. Peace.